Hey everyone, before we get started with today's video, if you forgot to use a referral code when you signed up for Uber to get your bonus or guarantee of up to $1,000, then here's how to apply my referral code so you can still get some extra money. Here's the steps. So 1, open the Uber app. Next, click your photo or the 3 lines at the top corner. Click earnings. Click help or question mark. Click account and payment. Then referrals. And this step is really important. Click invited driver, report my missing or incorrect driver referral. And then click send a message. And for the invite code, use G4QA5UE. Friend's name, yours truly, Gregory Wave. GREGORYWAVE, like wave. The phone number is 815-847-0184. And the email is gregwave@yahoo.com. And for the details, you can just say something like, my good friend Gregory referred me to drive for Uber. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name's Greg. What I'm doing for you guys today, and the most fitting timing, is how to properly do your taxes. Now, I'm going to preface, I am not an accountant. I'm giving you guys some general advice from some notes and lists I've taken over the years on how to really do this the right way. So, like I said, I'm not an accountant. Take it with a grain of salt, but this is clearly a really tough topic for a lot of people from what I've seen in the comments and some of the messages I've gotten. So I want to run you guys through just some generic advice and some things, some base things that you just need to understand as you're doing this process. This is so important because you're either going to lose out on a ton of money or save a bunch of money on how you do this. So make sure you're doing this. The last thing you want to do is just kind of let it sit and not do it, right? So before we get started though, I've been telling you guys about this for some time, and if you haven't listened to me yet, you need to today, and it's about PlayOctopus. PlayOctopus is a monster right now. It is making drivers a ton of extra money. It just launched in I believe, over 20 new markets. If you're in a major city, it's probably in your market now. I just took an Uber the other day where the guy had it, and he only said like great things about it. I loved it because I was playing on it and checking it out, and the driver knew that he was making money by me playing the game, so then he kind of stopped yapping his brains out to me, which was nice, because some of us can't freaking shut up when we drive people around. I mean, good Lord. So PlayOctopus is incredible. Tablet-based system, you get it for free. If people play it, you make more money. But the biggest thing I like about it is I feel like it's such a good way of showing that you're a committed driver and you really want to do a lot for your passengers. You can mount it on your back seat, or you can keep it in your front seat and then give it to people if they want it. And I would say just make sure you ask for it with like 3 to 5 minutes left in the ride so that they don't just sprint out of your car once you get to the location, right? But mounting it is probably your safest bet. So the number one thing you need to understand with doing your taxes is there's 2 ways to file. Okay? There's the actual expense method and the standard mileage rate. So the difference is the actual expense method is the method where you would track every single penny you spend and then file it. Now, this was confusing. I mean, just crazy confusing to me when I first started because, like I said, I was 21 when I first started. I didn't know anything about doing taxes. And so they're like usually sending you forms to fill out for the standard mileage rate. But everybody, like, my family members is telling me I need to track every penny. So it threw me for a pretty big loop when I first started because I was tracking every expense. But then when I went and filed, I filed as standard mileage. And I didn't understand the difference because I just went into H&R Block and I just was like telling the lady, like, look, just whatever's easiest, do it, because I don't know what half these forms even mean. So, but if you're So the best bang for your buck is to do the standard expense method. Now, what's cool about this is here's all the things you can write off if you do this method. And these aren't even all of them, but car wash, really, really, really big one is this next one, car depreciation. I don't know how many of you guys have heard my story about my car depreciating and how much it screwed me, but I basically went into my next car loan with like over $7,000 in negative equity. If I had been better about writing that off, I could have saved myself there. That's why this is just crazy important. Lease payments, your car loan's interest rate, registration fees, parking, tires, oil changes, vehicle repairs, rideshare insurance. Most of y'all probably don't even have that. But if you get it, you can write it off. Gas, licensing, anything you do at the DMV. My gosh, I mean, water, gum, snacks, if you keep them in there. You could buy a little trash can and put in the back. That's a write-off. Anything you use to conduct business, you can then write off. So, I mean, there's so much more there than you think. I mean, I think even one year I was writing off all the energy drinks I bought. So, because that was definitely necessary for me to conduct business. I was out there grinding at 4 a.m. after already working 12 hours. But the main reason people don't do this method is just because it's confusing. It's a little bit nerve-wracking too. Like for me, I was young, I was just terrified that I was going to screw something up. And I mean, I'm imagining then the IRS is going to be like knocking on my door. Little did I know I'm like such a small sheep in who they really go after. Probably would have never happened, but I was so terrified about it that then I ended up doing the standard expense method. This is the first year I filed and I paid a lot of money. I ended up having to pay. I didn't save anything. I ended up having to pay because we're independent contractors. So even though Uber takes 25%, technically we have to pay an additional amount then unless you file the right way. That's why it's so important that you do this, because you don't want to be paying even more money. Most of us aren't really profiting all that much and just putting thousands of dollars away in savings from driving Uber and Lyft. If you're smart, you're probably able to put $100 a month away, but even that can be tough. It was tough for me back then. So the standard deduction rate is basically based on the number of miles listed that Uber gives you. Now, the reason why I don't Uber and Lyft, the reason why I think that method is BS is because the miles that Uber and Lyft record for you aren't really your total miles. They only record the miles where you have a passenger in your car. Now, to avoid this, you can get a mileage tracking app. Oh man, there's like, I think there's one called Mileage Buddy or something like that. And basically you would turn it on when you're running Uber and Lyft and it'll track all your miles when you drive around. So if you're, that's miles to go pick up a passenger. That's miles to, even if you're just driving around looking for rides, which you shouldn't do because I've told all of you to not do that. So if you're still doing that, shame on you. But if you don't track your miles and then you go and filed with the standard deduction rate, you're going to be paying because that's probably like honestly only half the miles that you actually drove. So now it shouldn't really be that many miles if you're a smart driver. Cause like me, I drop someone off. I just wait right there for another ride unless I'm like in the boonies, but yeah. So, but the other thing is, your phone. I mean, you can do a lot with your phone because let's be honest, we can't do this without our phones. So a lot of your phone expenses, your phone insurance, I mean, I think you could probably even get away with like cases and stuff if you really tried. That being said, I wouldn't push your luck too much. You don't want to, get in trouble because you're filing a bunch of stuff that you really shouldn't be. So, but one of the biggest mistakes and one of the biggest confusion points that I had early on was Uber's fees. So they take 25%. Well, so they say. I'm sure you guys saw one of my videos where we found out that that's not really entirely true. More like 30. But most people file without taking Uber's fees into account. But you can actually you can actually write off the Uber fees too that they take out. So you can subtract from the total amount. And that's a big game changer, because like when you think about it, that's 25% of everything you've ever made. So yeah, don't cut yourself short. You know, I mean, you can actually really benefit of that. Now, another expense, and this one I read about online. This one wasn't anything I ever read about, but I did think this was a really good one. So, and this was just an Uber tax filing site, but this is just a direct quote. Many rideshare drivers make the mistake of trying to deduct their vehicle expenses twice. You can avoid this by either choosing standard mileage or the actual expense method, blah, 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 blah. But drivers that use the actual expense method should start keeping track of their receipts at the beginning of each year. Doing so will maximize the total amount of deductions you qualified during the Uber tax filing process. This is from Rideshare.com, just so you guys know. And then I would say next biggest mistake is if you do go standard mileage. This is, again, I kind of touched on this earlier, but the big mistake I made then was I didn't have money saved to then pay at the end of the year. And since I didn't do my taxes right, I had to pay out money. So, I mean, it's tough. It's like I said, we don't make a ton of money in doing this. So I had to then do a payment plan to pay my taxes off, and that was very annoying. Very, very, very annoying. So lastly, there's a lot of different softwares and stuff. I'm not going to really go into that because honestly, you can Google those, look into them. You know, just Google search tax softwares that are best for Uber drivers, tax softwares that are best for independent contractors, and you'll get plenty of options on what to do there. So that being said, more than anything, I want to stress again, I am not a professional. I'm just going from my experience of filing over the years and just different information I read on the internet that a lot of people have run into as far as problems go. So I always say do your own research. Like, don't take everything right from the mouth of Dylan and I and everyone else in the Rideshare Hub. You know, look into, you know, like do your own research and make sure you're doing things the right way. If you really are stressed out about it, man, just go to H&R Block, and if you've done the actual expense method and saved all your receipts, you know, they'll be able to help you out with that. They're just going to take a cut, you know? So, yeah. And the only thing then I want to add on top of this video is Uber's actually doing something with my referral code right now. It's like a retroactive sign-up code. So you guys can use my code if you never used a referral code, and you can get credited for the rides you gave X amount of time ago when you signed up. That's really powerful because a lot of people's sign-up codes when they signed up were up to $1,200. Mine was $1,000. So you could literally, I'm going to leave the details on how to do it in the description. You could literally look at that, and then you could just sign up, and you could have a crazy amount of cash just sitting in your account. So make sure you hop on that, guys. I hope this video was informative. I hope you learned something. I hope you do your taxes. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon.